Are you having trouble attracting a mate? Is no one responding to your dick pics, despite listing The Shawshank Redemption and The Big Lebowski as your favourite movies on your profile? Do you, for some reason, invest way more value in sex than in genuine happiness or fulfilling relationships? Yes, well, just one more question and then I can get you the help you need. Do you have any disposable income? Pickup artistry, or PUA, or as they call it, game, refers to the apparently lost secret technique of convincing people that sleeping with you is a good idea.
How do you ask for a date?
Wikipedia politely calls them the seduction community. While the concept has been around since the 70s, the community really got going in the internet age. On places like Usenet and later Reddit, people who sit inside all day arguing with other men on the internet can take the time to trade tips on how they think women work. And some people rose to the top to make careers from their writing through ad-supported websites or self-published books on Amazon. One such fellow, arguably the most popular, is Dariush Felisadeh, who calls himself Roosh V because he knows most of his readership has trouble spelling and pronouncing difficult words. He's written a whole bunch of books on pickup artistry and how to do it in various specific countries, which you can buy on Amazon or his shady-ass Web 2.0 looking website. You know, if there's one thing I just love doing, it's paying other men to tell me what they think women think about stuff. That's way more mature than asking them. Let's read some of his breakout book. Bang, shall we? Why am I putting it in my mouth? That's stupid.
Never tell a girl that she's beautiful or hot, because what that does is increase her value relative to yours. Not complimenting will help you, because you're withholding a reward that all women want, one that they will stick around waiting for. Do not discuss your feelings of emotion or attraction for her. Never tell a girl you like her or feel something for her. Only in movies will discussing your feelings ever get the desirable female. We use indirect game without compliments, where she's never completely sure about her feelings for her. You're not hiding anything. You're just being mysterious. I am Roosh V, Lord of Mysteries.
It is an act whereby a man inserts a rod-shaped mass of tissue into a woman's lubricated cavity, also made of tissue.
Don't be too concerned with sexual technique. Porn is my teacher.
A man rubs his rod in and out, stimulating pleasure receptors until his brain decides on the right time to
project a genetic package.
Since sex is supposed to be fun, don't take it too seriously by questioning whether you're doing things right. Worrying about her pleasure sacrifices your own.
Pump slowly, getting slightly farther in with each pump and...
Congratulate yourself on the notch. That's gross.
Oh, it's getting hot and sexy in here, isn't it? Coming down with a case of the fucking vapors! Now, I could go into detail about every single strategy in this book and how it reveals a deeply unsettling inability to empathize with women as human beings and how most of it doesn't actually work. In fact, that's why this video took so long to make. Initially, it was going to be about every single thing in the book. But what I actually find is really funny is that Roosh agrees with me about how poorly it works. The most telling piece of advice in the book is actually its simplest. Be prepared for a lot of disappointment.
Most phone numbers will go nowhere. You're doing incredible if half the numbers you get result in a first date. Even when your game gets really good, you will still get rejected and have prospects that don't convert.
On your 100th approach, there will be the experience of 99 previous approaches at your back, helping you succeed. This is why it is better to be the man that tries and fails than one who does not try at all.
Now, on a certain level, yeah, dating is easier for you no matter how you approach it if you accept that not everyone will accept you and no set of tactics will work on 100% of women. But combined with the rest of this fucking shitty nonsense advice, it's an admission of failure. If I wrote a guide on how to succeed at Dota, and the first chapter started with, get used to disappointment, following these tips you'll only actually win 1 in 100 times, you'd want your fucking money back, wouldn't you? This puts something of a dent in the idea that pickup artistry actually works, doesn't it? It only looks like it works because it tells you to try it hundreds of times. So people who are utterly committed to it will probably eventually see some results. Does that actually mean it works, though? I know I'm arguing semantics here, but if you roll 6 dice hundreds of times, you'll eventually land all 6s, but that doesn't mean I've taught you how to be a dice roll artist, does it? It just goes on like that. Honestly, I've read as many of the books that I could get a hold of for less than asking price, and they're basically the same book over and over again. But I gotta give Roosh some credit though. First of all, he sold the same book in like 15 different forms to the same people. But he's also very good at constructing sentences that sound deep and introspective and original, but if you think about them for more than like 1.2 seconds, you realise that they're nonsense. They're actually less than nothing sometimes. Take, for example, this section from Bang Ukraine.
Ukraine is what I call a paint-over culture. Ukrainians don't try to fix problems, they paint over them instead. The women do this with their excessive use of makeup, fake eyebrows, and fake eyelashes. A fat Ukrainian man who looks like Jabba the Hutt will paint over himself with a Mercedes-Benz. Ukrainians look for quick fixes and shortcuts to give them the appearance of beauty or success.
Roosh has invented an entirely new sociological term to describe the new phenomenon of women wearing fake eyelashes and men compensating for things by buying nice cars. Only in Ukraine, am I right? Roosh's books are full of Barnum statements like this, where he pretends he's come up with something unique to that culture, when in fact he's saying the same thing again, but he's come up with a different pithy way of saying it. He's basically writing horoscopes, but for desperate and lonely people. He's basically writing horoscope. And if you're not the biggest fan of reading books, Roosh has also brought his masterful understanding of sociology to YouTube, where you can find him explaining how to approach women in bars using...
You gotta do, it doesn't get easier than this. Just stand next to the girl that you want to talk to, wait until she gets her drink, then tap her on the shoulder with your hand 3 times after the transaction is complete, and then deliver your opening line.
I have to... Look, I wanted this video to feature some of Roosh's best arguments so I could actually debunk them and explain why the ideas were wrong, but this is a video of a 37-year-old man using Lego to explain how to approach women. It debunks itself.
Through words, it's hard to explain. So what I did is I went to the toy store and I bought some dolls.
I'm out of a fucking job now. These people are too stupid to even bother ridiculing. I'm done. I quit. See ya. Ah, fuck it. Ah, fine, whatever. He might be easy prey, but let's at least make fun of his audience and website while we're at it. Why not? In addition to creating Return of Kings, a website which oscillates between advice for picking up sluts and getting angry that people settle for used women, I'm beginning to think that these guys have an internally contradicting ideology, but that might just be me. He also runs Rouge V Forum, a small personal army of definite real friends he likes that at one point he tried to get to assemble in various locations throughout the world for some kind of mass demonstration. He is prominent and, I'm gonna be honest, just better YouTuber Dan Olson with a story about one of the meetups he infiltrated.
Okay, so back in January 2016, confessed rapist Roosh V starts planning this global semi-simultaneous meetup of fans to discuss what it means to be their myopic, atrophied idea of a real man and generally just, complain about women. Now, they do most of this planning just in public forums, which, usually for a meetup is fine. No one cares about your little fan club meeting, unless you're a rapist who runs a rape blog that teaches other men how to rape, in which case you're probably gonna get some pushback. So things get kinda heated. Mostly on social media, and Roosh goes and locks down his forum and starts changing all of the plans, and it gets gonzo so fast. Not just, hey, take it to a private conversation, they start immediately building 3-4 layers of bad spy thriller nonsense into the whole thing. Now, I'd already had an undercover account on his forums for a while, so I can just see all of this. And the local meetup, they wanted me to prove my loyalty before they told me the meetup location by sending a screen cap of an Amazon receipt for one of Roosh's books. Okay, so the next stage is everyone's going to meet up at one location at 7:30, then move to the actual location at 7:40. So there's only a 10-minute window to actually like meet up with the rest of the people. And now, how do you know you're meeting the right people? Well, you walk up to them, and the code phrase you ask them is this the place? And the countersign is yes, but only because of the cancellation. Quote, any other answer or hesitation, and you'll know they're just a bystander. Oh, they also reminded everyone that you probably shouldn't bring any weapons to this event, that they're totally insisting is just some dudes getting together to be dudes together. So anyway, I jump through all of these hoops. The evening comes, I go to the first meeting spot, and now this is early February in Calgary at night. It is so cold out. But any which way, I hang around for a good 20, almost 30 minutes, and no one asks me if this is the place. No one else shows up. No one else lurks around like they're too shy to ask complete strangers some code word. Nothing. So I check my email real quick, just to be sure, and there's this whole string of emails that had come while I was like traveling there and waiting. Like, so all these last minute emails where people are like, hey guys, it's like really cold out and I'm tired from work, so have fun without me. So that's it. I'm the entire meetup for the Calgary chapter of Return of Kings. The Calgary chapter of Return of Kings has a 100% SJW saturation rate. It is intensely compromised. And as the reigning king of that meetup, I decide, you know what? Let's move this totally not beta cuck meeting to Fatburger. So I went to Fatburger, and it was delicious.
If you like pina coladas.
His books also contain a shit ton of alpha-praising nonsense. You know, the stuff based on a debunked study we covered in the Golden One video.
Beta males have a serious problem with telling their lady friends that they like them.
Pickup artistry and alpha masculinity praising ideology don't so much go hand in hand as they're the same two hands shaking each other belonging to the same man, because they're the same. I'm yet to find someone who thinks pickup artistry is great, but doesn't praise all the other ridiculous bullshit. These things kinda have to go together. Heck, the Golden One has plenty of videos about dating. In fact, that's what gave me the idea to do this one. Remember this part of the video? Yeah. If I ever need any dating advice, and what are the odds of that, I'll look you up. Yeah, well, that was a setup for this video. Welcome to the H-Bomber Guy Expanded Universe. It's a book that triumphs being an alpha, with phrases like, the alpha male does not care about what other people think of him. Written in a book which dedicates over 100 pages to trying to make yourself look better than you actually are so people will think more highly of you, which it also admits doesn't work most of the time. In a frankly stunning display of a monumental lack of self-awareness, when describing what he feels as important alpha traits, he writes,
the alpha male lives in his own reality.
Criticizing this behavior will probably net the criticism from true believers that I'm some kind of beta who can't understand it or is too afraid of their desires and the deep truths contained within this twerpish prose. But ironically, I actually don't care what idiots think. I'm the real alpha, basically. It's me. I'm the good guy now. It's me. Roosh has even invented his own particular version of fake masculinity praising ideology, calling it neo-masculinity. He prides it as a stunning return to the ancient periods when men were real men like in these statues, but because he hasn't read what those times were actually like, because he was too busy writing Barnum statements about Ukraine, spoilers, they were really gay, a thing neo-masculinity explicitly rejects. He's really preaching a return to an imaginary time period he made up in his mind. In reality, idolizing a non-existent prelapsarian point in history is like wanting to return to the Garden of Eden or the womb. It's a pathology for only the saddest. Okay, I wanted to do a thing where I remade one of Roosh's videos with Lego and then made fun of it, but this was literally all the Lego I could find. This lady with the Paris shirt and this beauty salon, and there's like a giant toy lion that I still have for some reason, but I threw out all my Legos when I became an adult. So I can't really do this bit. In a BBC Three documentary, Reggie Yates goes to one of Roosh's talks, and in a small enclosed room, Roosh outlines not the reasons why his philosophy works and spreading tips for male self-improvement or even more tips on how to pick up women. Instead, we're treated to what I like to call philosophy of failure, offerings not of reasons why his way works or is successful, but excuses for why it isn't.
Women are no longer trained to submit to a man, to serve a man. Women are being applauded and encouraged to look like fat, outer space cyborgs. Women and gays are seen as superior to straight men. Anything that a woman or a gay person wants is theirs. But anything you want, sorry, we cannot help you.
Mainstream feminism is trying to destroy him. Straight male people aren't being served and aren't allowed to have their desires anymore. The media lies and so on.
Social justice warriors and the feminists that are aligned with them are like a virus. They try to infect every platform, every group, every topic, every niche to silence any kind of thought that they don't like. We recently saw this with Gamergate.
The bedrock of this school of thought is fundamentally broken. It's a worldview designed not to explain how to be a winner, but to explain why you're a loser. And don't worry, it's not because your ideas don't work. It's not because you have a reductive view of women and actively pursue not understanding them. It's because women are too powerful. And here, in this tiny basement, we're gonna put them to rights by you paying me to tell you you were right all along. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to put Rush's version of Pickup Artistry in the maybe pile for now. So, who's next? Well, there's Matt Forney of mattforney.com, whose avatar looks as little like Matt Forney as it could possibly be. I'm seeing a happy, jovial fellow with perfectly sculpted facial hair. You might want to get your money back from whoever you hired, mate. They really didn't capture the bewildered sadness very well. Much like Rush, in fact, almost as if he's trying to be Rush. He has his own website with his articles and another really crappy looking place where he sells his books. But at least for him, Pickup Artistry is just a side gig. He just sells Do the Philippines, a title weirdly close in name to Rush's books. That's an odd similarity. Wait. Hang on. Almost the entire ad copy is borrowed in style and substance from Rush's books. Even the risk-free thing is similar. This whole thing's a racket, isn't it? They're just ripping off each other at this point. I don't know about you, but I expected much more integrity and intellectual rigor from the seduction community.
So it's like a game. You guys are writing the same thing.
Oh, look, and he got a bunch of totally not his friends to write recommendations for the book.
It's clear to me, reading this book, that Matt Forney fell in love with the Philippines and her women, and that he wishes they find love with men who will love them.
Yeah, there must be a lot of love in Matt Forney's heart for women, for them to find love, and also a love for the financial success of Rush's books. To exacerbate that sense of love that Matt Forney simply excretes from every orifice like a sexy puss, let's read from one of his advice articles entitled How to Crush a Girl's Self-Esteem. Can you feel the fucking love yet? Merely banging a girl isn't enough for a man. He needs to possess her very being to be satisfied. Policy. Any ladies out there want to have their very beings possessed?
1. Constantly make her feel inadequate. You should rarely give her unqualified praise. Every time she does something for you, find out what she did wrong and remind her of it. If you can't find any problems, make some up. Nothing she does can ever be good enough for you. I felt slimy saying that one.
This is how you can crush her self-image and own her mind, body, and soul. Oh my god, what a wonderfully positive article. Matt finally admits women have souls. Matt then goes on to describe a situation in which being a bad boyfriend and insulting his girlfriend stopped her from eating what she wanted at lunch. Matt is currently single. Somehow, I'm sure it's feminism's fault. Oh, another article of his. No head please, I'm female. Oh boy.
Whenever my husband goes down on me, I just get frustrated and I end up asking him to stop. It took me ages to figure out what was wrong. Cunnilingus is unnatural for women.
It seems that Matt briefly operated a website called Virginia's Secret Garden, a website where he pretended to be his ideal woman, a submissive Christian housewife living in the Midwest.
Not only that, I've come to believe that going down on a girl upsets the natural order of masculine dominance. When a man goes down on a woman, the dynamic is flipped. He's a submissive one, and you're the one he's desperate to please. It's a complete perversion of the natural order.
Using his personal fanfiction as a mouthpiece, Matt claims that cunnilingus is unnatural because he, by which I mean made-up person Virginia Robinson, doesn't enjoy it.
As much as a man as my husband is, I can't respect him when he's dragging his tongue across my nether regions.
Women aren't going to respect you less if you go down on them, Matt. It's impossible for women to have any less respect for you than they already do. I'm going to say it again, to let it sink in. Matt Forney is so scared of, or mad about, oral sex, that he invented a fake woman to tell him it's okay, and that she never liked it anyway. That sounds like a compelling argument! Which brings us to the oddest thing about the séduction communautaire, that even the sex isn't fun for anyone involved once they get around to it. You have Ruche desperately trying to come up with a reason to want to have sex, struggling to describe it in a way that actually sounds fun, insisting that you just shouldn't worry about technique, it's just a rod of tissue. You have the golden one calling it a not especially pleasing activity, and just a transaction of power. You have Matt Forney inventing fake women to explain that sex wasn't supposed to be fun. And you have this red pill philosophy bloke, fellow YouTuber ContraPoints pointed out in one of his videos, who appears to be utterly disgusted by sex as a concept.
Because at the end of the day, sex, you're going to be impaling her with your ugly, engorged penis. There's nothing pretty about that. No pretty boy, okay?
I have a question. If pleasure doesn't matter, and the person you're sleeping with doesn't matter to you because you've pursued a worldview based around thinking so little of them, what's the fucking point? The most damning thing about pickup artistry is that it doesn't work even when it works, in the accidentally eloquent words of Matt Forney. Nothing she does can ever be good enough for you. Ruche claims that his techniques work, but there is something of a conflict of interest, isn't there? He's literally trying to sell you books about the techniques, so of course he'd say it works, but assuming that he's not a lying con man who wants your money, is it actually making him happy? I don't think it is. Pickup artistry is a lifestyle in which you pursue a happiness that you never arrive at, and hopefully make a little money on the way conning other people into paying you for your tips you probably copied from Ruche, you plagiarist piece of shit! The prologue of Bang is a story about how hurt Ruche felt when he discovered a girl he thought liked him was dating someone else.
We would study together in groups, and I could swear she was giving me extra attention. I analyzed the situation with my nice guy friends, and we all concluded that she did like me as more than a friend. After a couple of weeks of hesitation, I finally asked her out on a casual date to the movies. She said she couldn't because she was very busy. Weeks later, I'd see her around campus, holding hands with another guy. Instead of listening to lame love songs like I usually did, for the first time I got angry. A lifetime of frustration and not getting what I wanted became focused on this one girl. I was bitter that I, a nice guy, was getting passed over for guys who I thought were losers. If I did end up talking to her, I would cut our conversation short. When she would ask me to study, I'd lie and say I was studying alone, only for her to find my study group late at night in the library. I started feeling good for treating her poorly. I hated her and everything that she stood for, which was my failure amid women.
Ruche then details that after doing this, he discovered she was trying harder to be his friend. He puts this down to girls secretly wanting bad boys, when an outside observer can see it might be because she really did like him as a friend, and tried to continue it even though she had a boyfriend. The story then abruptly cuts off and goes into a more general story about the power of being mad at women. Presumably this is because not only did this behaviour never get him the girl, but she probably eventually gave up on their friendship and moved on with her life, and he doesn't want to mention that bit. His very first story about the success of his techniques is a story about a friend he pushed away because he was disappointed he didn't get to fuck her. He insists he used to be the stereotypical nice guy, but it sounds like he never really had any respect for that person in the first place. Pickup artists call it game, and the name comes from a particular non-fiction book called The Game, Penetrating the Secret Society of Pickup Artists. Oh, do you get it? The author, journalist Neil Strauss, initially saw success and gained friendships with other sad little boy men who idolize having the power to do something they don't really like with women they don't enjoy being with. And all of them had cute little assumed names like Mystery, Style, Herbal. Playboy, and of course Tyler Durden, because why wouldn't these people identify as the deranged manifestation of masculinity-worshipping ideology? Spoilers, eventually Strauss's relationships with the friends he made collapsed. It turns out these people are emotionally unstable. Who'd have thought? And then he concludes that pick-up artistry is for losers and attempts to rebuild his life. I felt a little bad outright dismissing this stuff as for losers just before. But here's Neil Strauss, the most prominent figure to ever emerge from the seduction community, saying it himself. 10 years after publishing The Game, Strauss put out a book called The Truth, an uncomfortable book about relationships. Its provisional title was Game Over, or as I like to call it, The Game Part 2, guess what? Still depressed. The Truth is the opposite of The Game in every way, even down to its cover. It details Strauss trying to put his life back together and have an actual rewarding long-term relationship with another human being. The guy's attempts to emotionally recover and see people as people are kind of commendable, and I hope the people who desperately follow his earlier advice also eventually experience the same development. It would be nice if these sad people stopped ruining their lives and maybe helped others do the same. But that might mean giving up on their source of income, and in this economy, pfft. Thank you all very much for watching, and also for being so patient with me. This video took a really long time to make. It turns out that doing tons of research and reading a bunch of books actually is really time consuming. In any case, in addition to the names scrolling past the screen right now, I'd especially like to thank Gabriel Mann, Aislinn, Get Dunked On, Commissar Taco, The Cameo, Joseph Greco, Jakucha Boris, Evan Ritchie, Opilius Bulge, Benjamin Davidson, Sol, Luke Gould, Aiton Goldstrom, Clawsue, Luke Swanson, Davis Remy, Elliot Soden, Aidan Bradley, Daniel Stewart, Cameron Kensey, Dylan Tompkins, Dipshit Chris, Feral Kimchi, Paul Yoen U Murthiel, I hope that's right, Jan Anders Bremer, A Mysterious Benefactor, Sarek, Casey Explosion, Lauren Tacticos, Clementine, Requin, I wonder how many people just like making you say funny things. Skeptical Frog, Nathan Hoare, Justin Conkerbeard, Sean Higgins, Richard Pearson, Renee Larshaug, Procor, Ryan Claus, Disciple, Knuckles the Echidna in a pair of huge googly eyes on a flaccid penis. It's changed again. Poggington Jones, Unknown_email, Shadowbag, Brock Barber, 3/5 of a Brain, Thomas Kistner, David DeMarzalu, Felix Meyer, Ricard Hevosmar, Julius Nyborg Olesen, Zachary Clark, Jerry Terry, Gary Marshall, Tom Martell, Caden Patine, Anna S., K Plays Dota, Daniel Vincent Chilton, Mike Stanley, Philip Huber, Lissy Roberts, Scartharax Lord of the Roaches, Mr. Clonum, Mackenzie Cockerill, Mons Silverplatz Toonstrom, Sammy J., Eugene Butler, Jordan Tullis, Owen Piper, Bill Mock, Recovering Zombie, Emily O, Young Cowrie, Jason Walter, Caleb McMurphy, Jay Logan, Findley Bewick Copley, Femin Ninja, Parker Anderson, Silas Pumpkins, Ash Stryker, Sean Kemp, David the Benevolent Malevolence, Amy Lech, Brennan Arts, Alexander Corbett, Olivia Mello, John Cantwell, Marco Shard, Malarkey Bingo, Eric Hunter, Lady Naga, Spilt Coffee, Zachariah Scott, Siegfried, Slayer of the Immortal Dragon, Robert Phillips, Rebecca Washam, Hero War, Kafzile, Alex Lemkovich, Grafen Blackpaw, Jeffrey Theobald, Jack Harvey, Casey Schneibel, David Rose, Samael, Scott Gertin, Thad Wazalewski, Alicia Parker Martell, Cav P, Kelly M. Knippi, Jenny Angel, and Kieran.
Cunnilingus is unnatural for women. Haha! I'm not a chain-smoking Mickey Mouse. I'm just a regular woman who hates cunnilingus. Haha! That's terrible. Don't use that. I mean, use it if you want to, but it's terrible. Let me try it again.
Ah, fuck. Just bashed my fucking arm against the tripod trying to make this thing work.